Hi there, and welcome to the third episode of Scrap with Me ×3, our video collaboration with Noreen Smith, that's me from Organized and Creative Mom, Kylie Kingham from Paper Sweetpea, and Lauren Hinds from Craft Some Joy. This is, as I mentioned, our third time that we are collaborating together, and we are having so much fun with it. We're so excited and so pleased that you guys seem to be enjoying it as well. We love hearing your comments. We love getting all the love from you. And one of the things that we've heard from you is that you guys want some handouts. You guys want some written instructions for the projects that we are sharing with you. So we're really happy to announce that we have them for you, starting with this project and hopefully going back and completing some handouts for the previous projects that we did. But starting with this project, you'll be able to go to the links in our description boxes, and you'll be able to go to each of our websites to purchase and download the instruction sheet for the Scrap With Me ×3 project. So we're really excited about that. And we know that you guys love to create a great, ideas binder. So we're happy to be able to offer a cover page as well as a little bit of a bio page for you that you can download, add to a binder, and then you can set up a tab for Lauren's projects, Kylie's projects, Noreen's projects, and then slide them all in there and have a fantastic reference binder for all of the Scrap With Me ×3 projects. So make sure you check the description box below for the link to my handout, and then you'll also see links to Kylie and Lauren's videos, and the links to their handouts will be in their description boxes, so don't miss that. So if this is the first time you're joining me here on the Organized and Creative Mom YouTube channel, welcome, and thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate that. And if you like what you see in this video, I'd love it if you gave me a little thumbs up, and it would be great if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so that you receive information as to every time I upload a video, whether it's a Scrap With Me ×3 video or an Organized and Creative Mom video. So you don't want to miss any of that. Now, when Lauren and Kylie and I were chatting about what we wanted to do together this month, we obviously started thinking about using the beautiful NSD products, the National Scrapbook Day collection that Creative Memories launched at the very tail end of February, beginning of March. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful patterns and papers and products, and we couldn't wait to play with them. But we really wanted to change it up just a little bit, so we challenged ourselves to use the NSD products to create an Easter-themed project and also to include circles in our layouts. You may have seen that there's a lovely new circle chain border maker cartridge, and that's kind of what got our wheels spinning thinking about using circles. So each one of us for this collaboration is going to be creating a project with NSD products, Easter theme, and circles. So are you ready? Let me switch you over and we'll get started. So I wasn't kidding when I said that the NSD collection this year is absolutely stunning. Look at all of these beautiful springtime colors and patterns. I just love them. What I have in front of me here and what I'm going to be using today is some papers from the Project Recipe Kit, which is a complete kit featuring 6 designer papers, 2 pieces of cardstock, and a sticker sheet. And it also comes with instructions and cutting guide to create 2 beautiful double-page layouts. So you really want to get more than one of these project recipe kits so that you can not only create the spreads that Creative Memories has designed, but also use these beautiful papers for other projects. I'm also going to be using 1, maybe 2 of the fun little mini packs of embellishments. These are just nice little add-ons to have that features all kinds of fun little title boxes, journal boxes, leaves, floral embellishments, and even some sweet little birds. So those are something you want to definitely add on and pick up a few of. And then the other product that I'm going to be using, was an exclusive Garden Friends paper pack. Now this came in the premium customer bundle at the beginning of the month, and advisors were also able to purchase it. Sadly, it has sold through, so it's no longer available, but I do want to give you a couple of options as we move through my project as to what you can substitute for it. I would suggest picking up the Endless Meadows collection. The Tone on Tone paper pack has some beautiful yellows and blues that are very similar to the colors in the Garden Friends and will provide a nice alternative for the projects that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing a one-page scrapbook layout, and I'm not actually going to need all of these papers. So let's pull out the ones that I am going to be using. I'm going to use one of the two floral and green bird tracks paper from the project recipe kit, one of the clouds paper from the project recipe kit, and this is actually going to be my base page. And then I'm going to use the cream weave paper from the Garden Friends collection and the yellow honeycomb paper from the Garden Friends paper pack as well. And as I mentioned, if you don't have that Garden Friends paper pack, I would suggest using the second piece of the clouds paper. The reverse side has a very pretty beige or cream colored honeycomb pattern on it, and that could be substituted for the cream colored weave pattern. And then choosing one of the yellow Tone on Tone papers from the Endless Meadows Tone on Tone paper pack to replace the yellow honeycomb paper from the Garden Friends collection. Now, in the handout that I was talking about earlier, you're going to see a cutting guide for each one of these papers. Now, as I mentioned, the clouds paper is going to be the base page, so we'll just set that aside. We're going to be making the basket from the cream weave, some grass, and a couple of pretty accent strips from the green and floral paper. And then we're going to be cutting some sort of Easter filler grass and doing some punching and matting with the yellow honeycomb paper. So let's get started with the basket. I've brought in my 13-inch cutting mat, and I'm actually going to just place a couple of dabs of repositionable adhesive on the back side of my paper to hold it in place while I'm cutting it. The repositionable adhesive is great because you can just rub that off after you're finished. And we're going to use the jumbo circle template to cut out our Easter basket. Now remember, I was telling you that Lauren and Kylie and I decided to feature circles or incorporate circles into our layouts. So this was my starting point. Now you can see that I have marked my circle template here at the 6-inch marks, both vertically and horizontally. And that makes it really easy for me to line up my circle and make sure it's in the right spot, make sure that it's centered. And now I'm going to actually take my red blade and cut around the outside of the circle to give me the outside edge of the basket. So I'm just going to put my pegs into the little track, hold it down firmly, and cut all the way around. Now I'm not going to move my paper or the template, and now I'm going to cut a semicircle from the inside of the circle. And that little band that's going to get left behind is going to act as the handle of our basket, and then the attached semicircle at the bottom will be the base of our basket. So I'm going to try my best to get the blade right at the 6-inch mark on one side and then cut up and over and stop at the 6-inch mark on the other side. So I like to just kind of look to the side here to make sure I'm in the right spot, hold my template in place, and just slowly and carefully go around. And then I will look from this direction to see that my blade has stopped where I want it to. I'm just going to go backwards to make sure I've cut all the way through nice and cleanly. And then when I lift this off, you'll see that we have this circle with this sort of flap. Now I have seen it done where you can just fold this flap down and that gives you a nice little decorative half circle. But I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this semicircle right out of my basket. So I've got my 12-inch trimmer here, and if you didn't know this trick already, if you place the top edges of your circle at the little ledges that come down on either side of the cutting mat, you can get a really, really nice half circle cut. So I'm just going to line that up as best as I can. I can see that here's the edge of my semicircle cut, and down here as well. I'm just going to twist it a little bit. And then I can also use the plastic sight lines that just kind of slide into the edges of the trimmer. There's one on each edge. And you can just slide those down to make sure that where you're cutting is the right spot. So as I look here, I can see that my line, the black line there, is going to match up right with the edge of my 6-inch cut. And as well, I know it's hard to see for you, but I can see that the line matches up there as well. So I know that my cut's going to be nice and straight. Now, before I start cutting, I'm also going to use the white line on the side of the housing, and I'm just going to eyeball that so that the white line starts where my cut on the circle is. And then I'm going to engage the blade, and then I'm going to stop when the white line gets to this cut on the side of the circle. So you just sort of have to look at the side of your blade housing to see where to start and stop the cut. And there we should have a nice little semicircle. I'm just going to trim off that last little bit with my scissors. And there is the base for our circular Easter basket. Now, before I put my trimmer away, and before you think about discarding this piece, we're actually going to be using this piece to add a beautiful decorative finish to our basket. So we're going to take this and cut the long edge into several 1/2-inch strips. And there's as many as I could get from my little semicircle. And we're going to use these strips to wrap the handle part of our basket. Just like you would see kind of that decorative braided edge on a basket. We're going to kind of mimic that. So I'm going to add a dab of adhesive to one end of the strip. And I'm just going to tuck it behind the handle. And now I'm just going to sort of wrap it around, not really, really tightly, just kind of loosely, around the handle. And then where I need to, I'll just add a little bit of adhesive, just trim off a little bit and attach that piece to the back. So we're going to continue all the way around, adding a strip of adhesive, tucking that on the back, and then wrapping all the way around. And just finishing up here with my last 1 or 2 little wraps. And just again securing it on the back side with a little bit of tape runner adhesive. So I love the way that that looks, really pretty, and again just gives a little bit of dimension and detail there without adding a lot of weight. So we're going to set that aside, and next we're going to cut our green bird tracks paper and get that ready. This is going to act as a bit of a strip of grass or ground along the bottom of our layout, something for our basket to sit on. So I'm going to cut a 5-inch strip from this paper for our base or for our ground. And then while I have this out, I'm actually going to need 2 little slim pieces of this paper, just a 1/4 inch each. And that's just about a 1/4 inch there. And these are going to be used a little bit later on for weaving through the lovely circle chain border maker cartridge. So I'm just gonna keep those aside, and we're finished with this paper. You've got a nice 6-inch or just slightly bigger than 6-inch piece to still play with for another project. Now, before we adhere this across the bottom of our page, I thought it would be fun to pull out an old favorite. This is the Grass Border Maker cartridge, and some of you might have the Grass Border Punch, which is very similar but creates a slightly larger grass look. And I'm just going to insert it into my Border Maker cartridge housing from the original Border Maker system. And I'm just going to use it as a bit of a free punch. And I'm just going to punch the edges of this strip, because most of the top edge of this strip will be covered by the basket itself. So I'm just going to punch the little edges there just so we've got a little bit of grass. Get rid of those. Now, if you don't have the Grass Border Maker cartridge or Border Punch, this is a great opportunity for me to just remind you that, of course, you could just go in with your scissors, create different sort of widths and depths of cuts, and that would create a fun grass look as well. You can just sort of ruffle up the edges, and it would also have a grass feel. So don't worry if you don't have the Grass Border Maker cartridge or Grass Border Punch. You can use your good old scissors and just snip some little grass edges. So let's go ahead and adhere this to our base page, just right at the very bottom. And as I mentioned, you can see that the basket itself is going to cover most of the top edge there. So that's why we didn't need to spend time punching the whole way. But before we adhere it, we're actually going to have to add some eggs to our basket, as well as some fun little filler grass. I don't know if you remember when you were young, but inside your Easter basket, there was always lots of that fluffy, kind of annoying plastic shavings or shreds that felt like Easter grass. So we're going to recreate some of that using our yellow honeycomb punch, and we're going to use that grass border again because I have it. But remember, you could just take your scissors and create some grass by snipping along the edges. So I'm going to pull in the paper guide for this, and in your handouts you'll see that I recommend cutting two 2-inch strips and then punching the edge. I'm just going to go ahead and punch the edge first and cut each strip down to 2 inches. So just insert that into the tray, and let's punch that edge. And now we'll go ahead and trim that to 2 inches. And then create one more piece exactly the same. So I have my 2 strips of yellow grass, and one of them is going to go behind the basket with some photos just tucked in front of that, and then the other is going to kind of spill out over the edge of the basket, kind of again mimicking the idea of the basket grass spilling forward. We're just going to set those aside for now with our other little strips, and while we have our Border Maker cartridges out, we're going to switch over to the new circle chain that I was talking about. And we're going to punch 2 circle chain cartridges from this yellow honeycomb paper. So we'll set the Border Maker system and cartridges aside, and we have our 2 yellow circle chains, and this is what I was mentioning. We're going to be weaving those little strips of the blue floral paper just through the openings of the circle. And that's just going to bring in some of that blue color throughout, and you're going to see how well everything kind of works together. So I'm just finishing off weaving the strips through, and I'm just going to add a little dab of the repositionable adhesive to hold those woven strips in place, and those borders are going to be absolutely lovely at the top and bottom of my layout. Now the last thing we have to do with the yellow honeycomb paper is cut out a mat. And we're going to make some eggs for our little basket, and we're going to have one egg down to the side here. So we're going to need 2 vertical 4x6 photos and then 1 horizontal or landscape style 6x4 inch photo. So let me pull those in. So the photos that I want to use are of my son Grayson. He was just 2 at the time. He's 17 now, and I don't think a lot more egg hunts are in his future. And you can see that this egg hunt was actually indoors because in Calgary, half the time we have snow still on the ground at Easter. So this was his first little egg hunt. He was absolutely astonished that this little basket came and there was these plastic eggs and there was chocolate in them. And he was so excited. So I'm going to put these little photos into the Easter basket. I'm going to cut them so they look like eggs, and it's going to be absolutely adorable. So let's just pull this off of our cutting mat. And I think for the 2 vertical photos that I have here, one of his Easter basket and one of him, I'm going to use the second smallest oval. So we have 4 ovals in the set. I'm going to use the second smallest to cut out a nice wide oval shape for him. And then I'm going to use the second largest one to cut a landscape photo and also a mat. And the reason I want to use this one is because the largest I can get with this particular size isn't big enough to mat my photos. So these 2 are going to be cut with that, and these 2 will be cut with this one. Now, if you're ever wondering about the custom cutting system, you'll see that the red blade has the shortest distance between the pegs and the blade, and the blue has the biggest distance between the pegs and the blade. So whenever I'm cutting and I want to get the maximum size, I use the blue blade. Whenever I'm cutting and I want to be as close to the size of the template as I need to be, I'll use the red blade. And then for that mat, I'm actually going to use the green blade. I think the green blade doesn't get a lot of love sometimes, but it is in between the size of the red and the blue blades. So I'm going to use those 2 over there. Let's go ahead and just center up this photo. What an adorable little face. And now I'll cut the Easter basket. And I don't do a lot of cutting of my photos into shapes anymore. That was definitely something we did more of, you know, back in the day, so to speak. That sort of style of scrapbooking is not as popular as it once was. But again, because I want my photos to look like little Easter eggs, this is perfect. Now I did cut a little bit lower here because this was a smaller photo for some reason, but you're not going to see that edge under my basket. Let's cut the photo with the red blade. And the yellow mat with the green blade. So I think that's pretty much all of our cutting done. Our cutting of our decorative strips, cutting of our basket, cutting of our photos. I'm just matting this one up. But there's our 3 photos and all of the rest of the pieces. So now we can go ahead and start actually assembling our layout. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the bottom of these photos. And I'm just going to place them behind the basket edge. And I'm just going to flip this over, and we're going to place one of our strips of the yellow grass. I'm just going to cut off the excess here. We're going to place one of the strips of the yellow grass behind our photos so that it looks like our little egg-shaped photos are just nestled into the grass. So when we flip that over, we've got some behind now. And then our other strip, as I mentioned, is going to go in front. So I think I'm just going to sort of trim a little bit here just to make it look a little bit more natural, I guess, if that's if that's how paper grass could look. And just trim that part off so that, again, this part's going to look like it's just sort of spilling out and over the front of the basket. I remember my mom just picking up those little pieces of plastic basket filler grass for days after Easter. So now our basket is complete, and now we can finally go ahead and adhere it to our page. Now you're going to want to give lots of regular tape runner adhesive and onto the photos and onto the handle. And remember that those wrapped pieces are kind of loose still, so you'll just want to be careful as you go over them. And let's just add this to our page, centering it as best we can. I'm going to actually put it a little bit higher than the center because I do have our final photo, some embellishments, and a little journal box that has to go down there. Okay, but before we adhere this one, now we're going to go ahead and adhere our border strips that we made, and about 1 inch up from the bottom. I love using the cutting mat as a bit of a guide when I'm putting a layout together. And then again, adhesive on the back of the second one. And we'll just lift up the top of the handle there, and again about 1 inch down from the top edge. So that just frames that basket so nicely. Now we can go ahead and add our final egg, our final photo, and we're just going to place this just so it's kind of looking like it's resting on the ground here. And then we could definitely sort of ruffle up these little grass bits to provide a little bit more texture. So that's all of the components for our basket. Now I want to add my title in here, and a nice little trick to using the ABC 1, 2, 3 stickers, and I'm going to use 2 different ones, the serif and the sans serif, but I'm going to take a little piece of wax paper, just ordinary wax paper that you have in your kitchen, and I'm just going to cut it to the size of the area that I have to work with. So then that will let me know how much space I'm going to take up with my title. So if I'm going to spell out Easter and then put the word excitement underneath, I know exactly how much space I have to do it. So I might have to even push these together a little bit closer so that I don't run out of space. Or I'll just put my R just sort of on the edge here, just so that I can see that I do need to space it a little bit better. And then I'm going to add the word egg-citement, E-G-G, citement down below here with the smaller sans serif ABC 1, 2, 3s. So I'm not going to finish the title right now. Let's talk a little bit about embellishing. You are going to see a shot of all of the final embellishments in the final image, but I just wanted to show you a couple of things. I loved this little sort of subtitle that says basket full of goodies, and I thought that I would just add that below my main title, and then I can start building a little cluster down here using some of the flowers from the mini pack, as well as some of the lovely stickers. So I think I'm just going to do something like that, just underneath my title once I get it all adhered. And inside the little mini pack, you're going to find some fun little leaves so you can really build up a beautiful cluster. I'm also going to build a little cluster over here. And then I definitely need to use these cute little bees. They are going to go in a few places. I was thinking they could go kind of off to the side here. One is going to go over here. And then I think my last one, there's 3 on this sticker sheet. So my last one will go up near the top handle of the basket. So that's going to be really cute. I do still need a little bit of a journal box though. So I'm going to choose one of these 2 little journal boxes from the mini pack, and I'm actually going to cut it into a tag shape. I could just add it, but I think it would be nice to have a little bit of interest. Now, luckily, these are 2 inches wide. So I'm going to pull out my 3-in-1 bevel tag maker, and it actually punches 1 inch, 2 inch, or 2.5 inch tags. So I think I'm going to use this one. And because I want it to stick out sort of opposite the egg, I'm going to place this end into the tag punch. It's just long enough that I can tuck it in there, punch one edge, and I'm going to have a fun little journal tag that I can just sneak down here, and then my layout will be finished. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off my title and my little embellishment clusters here and show you a picture of the finished layout at the very end of the video. I love the way that the little circular basket turned out, and I love the little added circular details of the circle chain border maker cartridge. I'm so thrilled that Kylie and Lauren and I decided to have that Easter theme using the NSD products, and I just love the way that my little layout turned out. And I know that you're gonna love Kylie and Lauren's layouts as well. They've got some fun, really cute ideas to share with you. Some little bunnies, some little windows. It's gonna be great. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you go to the description box down below and click on the links to take you over to their YouTube channels to watch their videos. Don't forget that you'll also see the links for the handouts, and that will give you all of the cutting guides and the step-by-step instructions. If you don't want to purchase the guide, no problem. Of course, you can go back and watch the video again and just pause it as you need to go along. But if I know you scrapbookers, you guys want a reference binder full of ideas that you can just flip through and make whenever the mood strikes you. So I hope you enjoy that. So I really hope you have fun with this little circular Easter basket layout, this Easter excitement layout. I'm all ready for Easter. I know that my boys, as I said, won't be really doing an Easter hunt, but I know they still love all of the chocolate Easter candy that they get. So thanks so much for joining me. I enjoyed spending some time with you today to talk about Easter and NSD and all things creative memories. And I hope to see you again on the next episode of Scrap With Me ×3. And of course at Organized and Creative Mom on their Facebook page and in our courses and here on the YouTube channel. Thanks very much again. Take care. Happy Easter. Bye for now.